This Airbnb profit and expense tracker is simple, fast, and powerful. I'm going to show you how it works. You've got the data input tab here, where you're going to put your categories of expenses. And you're going to have one category for income, which is called rent. That's the only one that really must stay there. Once you've defined your categories, you then enter your expenses and your income in this table here. First, you've got the date column. So you'll enter a date in, and it must be a valid date. You can do that by double clicking on the cell and then choosing a date from the calendar that pops up, or you can just type it in. You then choose what category the entry is. So it'll be rent if you're getting money. If you're spending money, it'll be any of the other categories that you've inputted down in this red table here. If it's income, if it's rent, you then put in the number of nights that the guests stayed. You then put the amount in and any notes. And you continue doing that down the page. Once that's done, you can come in to look at the data in two different ways. You can look at it in a single view, a single year view. The only thing you need to do on this sheet is decide what month the data is going to start from. Here I've got it starting in July 2022, and I define that in this yellow cell here. If you want to change that, you can double click on it and then choose the first of the month that you want it to start in. So if we wanted it to start in January, we can choose the 1st of January. That cell will then control the months across the top, and this will then change the data down below. And it's changed that. This tab shows you 1 year's worth of data. So you can see there's 12 months across, and then you've got the total for the year in column N. We can see rent, the number of nights for that in that month, the average rent per night, then your management expenses if you have a Airbnb manager, the rent after the management expense, and the average rent per night after management expense. And the total here gives you your average for the year. You've then got all your other expense categories, the total of those other expense categories, your net profit, and your net profit per night. The other view is to see 10 years worth of data, if you have it, or as much as you've got. And the spreadsheet is the same layout, but instead of a total column in column N, you just get more months. And so you can scroll across long into the future and see data over a long period of time. And that's great for long-term analysis. Again, the only thing you change in this spreadsheet is this cell here to decide what month you're going to start the analysis in. In this table, where you're inputting your data, you don't need to put it in date order. You can put it in whatever order you want. The formulas in these two views will find the date and put the data where it should be. It doesn't matter if there is a gap. For example, if you make a mistake and you want to delete some data, it doesn't matter that there might be some empty rows. If you don't want there to be any empty rows, then you can come and sort it by date, A to Z, and that will push any empty rows down to the bottom. You can filter across the top to see just one or two categories. And to see everything again, you click select all. Okay. To navigate to the bottom of this table to put new entries, the fastest way to do it is to hold down the Control key and then hit the down arrow button. That will take you to the bottom of the block of data, and then you can arrow down once more and you'll be on the first empty row. To get this spreadsheet, visit the Etsy link in the description. It's very cheap, it's very powerful. I built this spreadsheet for someone who doesn't use spreadsheets for a living, and they love it. Accountants love it because it's so simple. The data can be taken from a bank statement and it's all in one place. You don't need to go to a different tab to create new categories. For example, if you decide you want to have a coffee beans expense category, you just type it in there. You can then come to the bottom, click on this arrow, and you'll either see the category there. If you've got lots of categories, you can start to type it and it will show up. Select coffee beans, put in the date. Let's say this was in the 3rd of March 23, and we spent $50. And that's as simple as it is to start entering your data and recording and seeing how you're going.